You're listening to the Public Health Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics of interest for public health professionals who are at this intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, I'm Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm excited that you've decided to join me on this episode. I'm a public health entrepreneur with well over 20 years of experience in public health and in healthcare, and I've supported many entrepreneurs along the way. I've also been a podcaster since 2017. Now, today's topic on this episode, we're going to share about, I think, two common confusions of fear. And I think it's really going to be important for anyone at the beginning of entrepreneurship, beginning of this journey, or especially valuable for you if you already established and moving along, leveling up your business. So I think essentially a little something for all of the entrepreneurs listening to this episode. What I'm going to speak to is this fear of failure and fear of success. And just as a caveat, we're going to talk about fears in general on future episodes because it does not go away. It's just how we address these challenges, how we address fear as it shows up. And it shows up in multiple different ways. But I specifically want to just focus in on the fear of failure and the fear of success and maybe talk about some of the ways they're different and how they're very similar. Okay, so fear of failure and the fear of success are two distinct but interconnected fears. And it really can impact you as an entrepreneur in a number of different ways. Let's start with the fear of failure. I think that's what people are more commonly used to thinking about and hearing and considering. So the fear of failure is this apprehension or anxiety that builds up around not achieving or accomplishing your desired goals, or maybe not accomplishing or experiencing the outcome, or you're reaching your expectations. It could stem from anything like maybe your personal feelings around being inadequate, or maybe a financial loss, or some social judgment can really amplify these fears of failure. This social judgment that could come along with this anticipated fear or this anticipated failure. What happens if you don't do it? Or it could be the consequences of unsuccessful ventures. Maybe you've tried in the past, it didn't work out. So your fear of failing if you try again, all of these fears are real. I'm just really speaking to sort of the defining them. We're unpacking it. Now, the impact for entrepreneurs with this fear of failure is that it can almost be paralyzing for entrepreneurs. It can prevent you from taking on tasks or taking the risk that comes. I mean, starting a new venture is a risk. If your fear of failure is strong enough, it can almost stop you from taking action. It could also prevent you or really hinder your decision making. It's hard to make a decision because you're afraid of this failure, making the wrong choice, going the wrong direction. It can also show up in a way of interfering with you pursuing your dreams because of that fear of failure. It can lead to procrastination. That's one way it really shows up. And I didn't realize this, but it shows up a lot for me in that way. Procrastination, putting it off. I could do that later. It's that fear of failure. Self-doubt. You can doubt yourself you doubt your abilities to do anything that you're contemplating or planning. It could be about avoiding challenges. As an entrepreneur, your fear of failure can interfere and prevent you from addressing challenges. And ultimately, it can hinder the growth of your business or whatever the innovation that you are looking to act upon. So entrepreneurs, I'll give you a couple of tangible examples, may hesitate to launch a new product. That procrastination, that hesitation is the fear of failure. What if it fails? Or enter a new market. You have the inspiration to do so, and that fear of failure can prevent you from doing it. It can also interfere with funding. So if you are starting a venture or you have ideas for a venture and that fear of failure is strong enough, it can prevent you from seeking out funding sources, afraid of the criticism that may come along and the rejection, the fear of rejection from that. And it could also show up in you avoiding making decisions and taking actions. Or, it could have you experiencing setbacks or, really stall your business altogether. Now, let's talk about the fear of success. So the fear of success, it's similar to this anxiety that builds up about achieving your goals. So instead of the failure of the goals, it's about this anxiety that builds up around, well, what happens if it's successful? So accomplishing your goals, reaching your dreams. It's one thing to dream about this business of whatever the revenue that you have as a goal or getting started and having all these clients. But when it starts to happen, it looks like it's really happening. There's a real fear of success that shows up. It involves concerns about the potential consequences. So when all of this happens and you get the success, then there's this real fear of the consequences that come with that, which is the responsibilities and the changes that come with your success, like higher expectations and increased pressure. Some of you may have this perception of loss of freedom. If your business is really successful, you have this big team, you no longer have this freedom, which is not true, but it's a fear of success. The impact that this fear of success can have on entrepreneurs, it really can manifest in these self-sabotaging behaviors. We hear this a lot, but really thinking about or diving into, I'm not sure if you really consider this, but it happens a lot. So the years that I spent in coaching my clients in business, I see it. I think your coach sees it first. My coach would see that in my small group that I'm in. So these self-sabotaging behaviors, imposter syndrome is another way that it can show up. Talking about now this fear of success, it can have you be reluctant to fully commit to pursuing your ambitious goals because, well, what happens if it really happens? If I really make that? Let's say, for example, you have this desire to start your business. You want your business to reach $100,000 in revenue because everyone has this big milestone when you start your business to get to $100,000 in revenue for the business. Well, there could be this real fear of what happens when this business hits that mark, because then, of course, you validate a lot of things and then you start leveling up beyond that. Or maybe it's the $1 million mark and maybe you're in multiple six figures and you're getting closer to that $1 million mark. And then that becomes, there's a whole lot of self-sabotaging behaviors that can kind of show up and have you shying away from the actions that you need to take or fully committing to those actions that you need to take to pursue that really ambitious goal. This is a very real fear, this fear of success. Entrepreneurs sometimes are unconsciously undermining their own success. I should say we, not talking like it doesn't happen to me, but we as entrepreneurs, we can do that. We can be really good at doing that, downplaying our achievements, avoiding opportunities out of fear of the unknown or our perceived burdens of success. And I say perceived burdens of success, like I mentioned a little earlier, this feeling that, oh, if my business grows this big, then I'll lose my freedom. That's a perception because how you structure your business, as your business grows, you can have even more freedom. So sometimes it's these perceptions we have around what success looks like, and we get to struggling with these feelings as we get closer to that. Let me try to give you a few examples. So fear of additional responsibilities or scrutiny and pressure from achieving success. And believe it or not, that's real. Some people will not like it when you actually start to accomplish and achieve a different level of success. And I guess you just have to decide that you're going to be okay with that. Some people that are with you now and excited about you getting started will feel a different way when you actually start leveling up and getting closer to accomplishing that goal that you once had set. And that's their issue around your success. That's not a reflection of you. So that's a whole different topic for another day. But this is a real thing. Some people will not be excited and celebrate your levels of success as you accomplish and you realize this different level of growth with your business. And you just have to kind of address it in the sense of knowing that this could happen and being okay with that because you're on a mission to succeed and to keep moving forward and to press through this. Don't allow these self-sabotaging behaviors make you shy back and hold back to stay in a comfort zone when you're called to reach that big goal that you set out to accomplish, because that represents, and this is personal spin on this, it represents a greater impact that you're able to have in the communities that you serve. So I'm going to keep pressing forward. And even if it feels awkward and weird because of these feelings I have about achieving and success, I encourage you to continue to press forward because that greater impact and that greater reward is worth it. That's what you set out to do all along. So just be aware of these is probably the first step. And then that encouragement to keep pressing through is what I also add in there for you. I'll add one more thing on this. Another thing in terms of this fear of success, entrepreneurs will often struggle with these feelings of inadequacy or unworthiness, despite the outward success. Now, this is real. Other people can look from the outside and go, oh, all of the signs are there. Your business is booming and thriving and growing. And the owner, the business owner, the entrepreneur can feel so unworthy and so inadequate. Like, I'm not enough. You're looking at the gap, all the things that are still not there, as opposed to the evidence of what you've accomplished and the success. So all of these things are a real part of the fear of success. Now, while the fear of failure and the fear of success may seem contradictory or different, it often coexists in the minds of entrepreneurs. So yeah, one more thing to wrap your brain around is that it creates this complex interplay because you can have emotions and motivations all over the place when you're wrestling with the fear of failure and the fear of success, but it can happen at the same time. Now, both fears can hold you back from reaching your potential or achieving your goals, but addressing these fears is what you'll need to embrace. Don't think that you just get to a point where, okay, these fears go away and they no longer exist, because that's not true. You just get better at identifying them and addressing them. That's what I really want you to take away here. So it includes or requires some self-awareness, being able to identify and be aware of where these shifts are is really important. And resilience, just decide you're going to be resilient. And I guess adding to that, being willing to confront these challenges and these limiting beliefs and behaviors as they arise. So being kind of both willing to be aware and then also addressing them. Now, through introspection, and you're really the only one that can identify these, and you have to decide to do something about it, but you can start to shift these mindset shifts that people always talk about. That's what we're discussing. It's really about your beliefs, about your ability to do your job, to your role as an entrepreneur, to accomplish and to achieve. That's what we mean about the mindset. So we're constantly going to need to address and adjust our mindset around whatever our fears are and whatever it is around our business. And we will continue to talk about these mindset shifts on this podcast because I want to help you with these things to be able to move forward and have the success that you want to have with your business, however you define the success. So it just involves some introspection, proactive steps to help manage, address and manage these fears. Remember, you're not eliminating things altogether. You can begin to build your confidence and courage, the amount of confidence and courage that you need to be able to address these challenges and to move forward and to continue this journey effectively and efficiently. All right. Now, as we wrap up this episode, I would like to ask you to help me and help us spread the word about this podcast. I'm really enjoying these episodes and sharing with you, and I'm getting really excited about the upcoming topics and the direction that we're moving with this podcast show. So please help us by sharing this podcast with your network. So we're going to suggest 3 ways. It's not the only 3 ways, but I like to make suggestions. You can easily share, if you're listening in a podcast app right now, share this episode by using the app itself to share the episode to your network and friends. You can simply share our website to a friend. Our website is publichealthentrepreneurs.com, and that's entrepreneurs with an S. So publichealthentrepreneurs.com. You can share that website with a friend. And also another way that you can help us spread the word is by leaving a favorable review in Apple Podcasts. That's my most exciting way. And it's a great way for us to help get this podcast off the ground and help other people who discover it in the app decide to, take a listen and check out some of the episodes. You know how it is when we see favorable reviews of anything. It helps us in making a decision to purchase or to participate. So those are some of the ways that you can help us spread the word about this podcast. Whichever option you choose, I really appreciate you. I thank you for helping us to share this as a resource that I continue to make freely available. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com to learn more.